What is up, my witches? Welcome or welcome back to the Queer Soul Alchemy podcast, where we yap about yoga and Ayurveda, astrology and tarot, sexuality and spirituality, self-expression and queerness, and so much more. I'm your host and favorite queer NB priestess, Paisley Parvati Devi, and on today's episode, we're going to dive into yoga sister science, Ayurveda, which is such a wonderful and deep topic. And I really wanted to share the radical self-care practice known as Abhyanga that comes to us from the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. Abhyanga is the Ayurvedic practice of self-oil massage. What are all these words? How do I say them? How do I do it? Let's find out together on today's episode. All right, y'all. So before we dive into today's content, what do you want to hear about next? Let me know. Feel free to email me anytime. It is paisleyparvatidevi@gmail.com, PAISLEYPARVATIDEVI@gmail.com. And if you want to stay in the loop about all my offers and upcoming events, and also download my free self-care resource guide, the best place to do that is definitely by joining my email list on my website, youareloved.one. That's youareloved.one, youareloved.one. And if you want to specifically go to the podcast page, it is youareloved.one/pod. Whatever platform you're listening on, it's really helpful if you're able to give me a like, on YouTube especially, comments, give me a subscribe wherever you're listening from. Yeah, if you're able to leave a comment or a review, all of that really, really helps this podcast get out there and reach more people. And I think you're going to want to share this episode because what I'm sharing with you guys today is something that I, honest to God, share with just about anyone who will listen. If you're a client and you've worked with me one-on-one, you've more than likely received this practice from me. Even if you're just like one of my friends or happen to peruse my website, it's possible that you have seen the blog post that I'll be also sharing that corresponds with this podcast. Because this practice, it's so accessible, it's so simple, and so soothing. It is deeply, deeply soothing to our nervous systems as humans. So if you experience anxiety, restlessness, insomnia, feeling just scattered or ungrounded in general, fear, grief, a lack of connection to your body, this practice of Ayurvedic self-massage can help so much with all of that and more. And these are just some of the reasons why I absolutely swear by this practice. And I also share it with, like I said, just about anybody who will listen. All right, you guys. So let's dive in a little bit into Ayurveda because it is something that I will be spending quite a bit of time sharing about on this podcast. But it's something that I find not many people are actually familiar with. It's becoming more well known. A lot of people are at least know of yoga if they haven't actually practiced yoga. Most people have not even actually heard of Ayurveda so far, unless you're already like deep into the wellness community. Brief overview, what is Ayurveda? I already mentioned it is yoga's sister science. So yoga comes from the Vedas, which are some of the most ancient scriptural texts known to man. They're estimated to be about 5,000 years old. However, that's just the written Vedic actual literature. And it is estimated that the information in that literature was passed down orally from generation to generation, from teacher to student, for an untold number of years. Some say another 5,000. It's somewhat up for debate. Regardless, the wisdom contained in the Vedas is some of the oldest wisdom known to man. It's some of the most ancient scriptural texts of any religious or spiritual practice known to man. And so there's a lot of stock put into them. There's a lot of proof. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak. These practices have stayed alive for centuries for a reason, and they have been practiced for centuries, specifically in India and that area of the world, because that's where they originated. But as we know, yoga has proliferated throughout the United States, throughout the Western world, and other parts of the world as well. And Ayurveda is another Vedic science that comes along with that. Some other Vedic sciences are Jyotisha, which is Vedic astrology, you may have heard of. There's also Vastu, which is kind of like feng shui. It has to do with the proper way to build buildings and place things throughout your home so that energy can properly flow through. Tantra is also a Vedic science. So we kind of get all these different offshoots from the Vedas, right? There's a lot more. I could keep going. But for the sake of simplicity, let's distill it down. So we have yoga, we have Ayurveda, we have all these other wonderful Vedic sciences, which the word Veda just means science. So sciencey sciences, kind of funny to use the phrase Vedic sciences, but most of us aren't fluent in Sanskrit. And so yoga comes from these scriptural texts. Ayurveda also comes from these scriptural texts. Since they share a common scriptural ancestor, they are sister sciences. Yoga, as we know, deals with the body, it deals with the mind, the energetic body, and by way of healing those other bodies, it's also very deeply spiritually healing. And you can take multiple approaches. Yoga, you can come in from the body and go up to the spirit. Now, some people, they prefer to take the top-down approach where they start at meditation and eventually their meditation path brings them to want to try a yoga class or some kind of movement practice, right? And Ayurveda also deals primarily with the body, but because it's a holistic spiritual science, it deals with everything else too. The physical body, emotional body, energetic body, mental body, and spiritual body. So whether you're coming from the body up approach or the third eye down approach, our bodies are very deeply intertwined. And when I say bodies, I'm talking about those 5 bodies that I just mentioned: physical, spiritual, energetic, mental, and emotional, or could say energetic or intellectual body. So they're all connected. If we have some type of imbalance on the physical plane, that can penetrate into our mind, right? If your physical body is sick, if you have the flu, we mentally don't feel good either most of the time, right? And the same is also true in reverse. If somebody has mental anguish, a lot of undealt with trauma or depression, or some deep-seated anger for years and years and years, we can see that manifest in the body, for example, as heartburn or a heart attack, heart disease, right? Things that affect the heart go along with anger. And that's a whole other tangent. So this is a little bit about Ayurveda and how it can work right alongside yoga. It can also work with Western medical interventions and really complement Western medicine. It does not rival it. However, because Ayurveda and yoga are very focused on prevention, the powers that be may not necessarily uplift preventative medicine, because we live in a capitalist society and there's not a lot of money to be made off of a lot of healthy people. Am I right? However, here in Queer Soul Alchemy podcast, we know that health is wealth. And so I'm not here to make you guys be sick so that you need my services. I'm here to make you happy and healthy and just support you in your process so that we can all thrive together. And for me, that's really what these practices are all about. And in Ayurveda, there are 3 mind-body types. There's the earth type, fire type, and the air type. And these do come from the elements. So we have our 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether or spirit. So earth and water, the heaviest elements, make up body type 1. And then fire and water, medium elements, body type 2. And air and ether, lightest elements, body type 3. So we call these kapha, the earth and water type, pitta, the fire and water type, and vata, the air and ether type. Now, I have a whole course that dives into this topic, an Introduction to Ayurveda online course. I'm going to show you guys that later on in the episode. I'll pull it up on my website too. You're more than welcome to go onto my website and purchase that lecture. It's a 2-hour lecture that does a deep dive into this subject if you really grab a hold of this information and you want more, right? There is more available. Okay, so without further ado, Abhyanga. What is it? Why should we do it? How is it helpful? Okay, I brought up the 3 Ayurvedic mind-body types, Kapha, Pitta, and Vata, because most people have a Vata imbalance. So a lot of times people get caught on, okay, what is my mind-body type? And there are tons of quizzes you can take online. Just Google, what is my dosha? And you can take a quiz and find out if your dosha, your Ayurvedic mind-body type, is Kapha, Pitta, or Vata. However, I don't want you to get stuck on that because it's more important to focus on balancing. And these 3 main elements, these 3 parts of the energy, 3 energy archetypes, you could say, are found within every single thing. They're found within the weather, within the earth, within our bodies. And so it's, even though we will be predisposed to one of them for most of us, most likely there's going to be an imbalance of vata still. Okay, so we're going to focus on balancing vata. And why does vata go out of balance first? Because it's air and ether. So those are the elements that move and flow and go out of balance most easily. I have researched a lot of people's prakritis, their mind-body constitutions in Ayurveda. For my Ayurvedic health counselor certification course, I had to do at least, I think it was only 2 case studies, but I ended up doing about 5, including a case study on myself and 4 practice clients where I assessed their constitution. It doesn't matter the person's constitution. Consistently, we see a vata imbalance. And so in Ayurveda, we are working to balance those air and ether elements. We also live in a culture that is very vata aggravating. When you think of social media and marketing and all of the text messages and notifications on our phone, we're constantly inundated with so much information, so much stimulation. It's all these quick little dopamine hits of just fast stimulation, and everybody's attention spans have gotten so much shorter. This is all vata aggravating. And then the fact that we're going from thing to thing to thing all day. Most of us live very busy lives, have very busy schedules, and we're such a productivity-oriented culture. Most of the time, many of us do not have time to simply slow down, or we may not find the importance or find the motivation or feel like we have the time to literally carve out time to simply slow down or simply do something for ourselves. And so this practice is a great way to take that intentional time. And it's something that can be easily incorporated. Just 20 minutes per day if you choose to do this daily. It could be done a couple times a week. It could be done once a week. The most important thing is that you do it, right? Doing it at all is better than not doing it at all. And I also just want to take this moment while I'm thinking about it to nudge you to go ahead and do the practice from episode 3. If you haven't listened to all the episodes through yet, really invite you to go to that episode 3, give it a listen through, actually sit and do the practice versus just listening to it. because so many of these things, we can just listen and we can bring the knowledge in, but that's not really, it doesn't benefit us if we don't actually do the thing, if we don't actually incorporate the practice, right? You can listen about the practice all day and the potential benefits of it. If you don't actually do the practice, you won't get the benefits. So gentle nudge. And that practice goes really well with this practice. So you can kill two birds in one stone. Speaking of productivity, you can be extra productive with your self-care by doing two self-care techniques at once. How do you feel about that? As I'm telling you to slow down. Well, this could be a way to trick your brain, friends who are productivity addicts or workaholics, and I'm calling myself out. So this can be a little mental hack for you to do your meditation and your Abhyanga, your self-oil massage, and just take a half hour that is just for you and see how you feel afterward, especially if you're the kind of person that never does that. It might be like a lot of resistance, or it might bring up a lot for you at first. So if you need support with that, I'm more than happy, and I'm more than here for you. Contact me anytime. All right, Abhyanga. I'm going to share my screen with you, and so that I can show you on my website, if I can get it up here. Come here. Screen share. Okay, so if you go to my website, youareloved.one, under the resources tab, and then under recipes and guides, that'll take you to a page that looks like this. I'll just show you if you're watching the video on YouTube or on Spotify. And then the first post under this recipes and guides section is Abhyanga, the ultimate self-care, how to do Ayurvedic self-massage with oil. Okay? So we talked about Vata because it's air and ether going out of balance most easily and most quickly. And so no matter somebody's Ayurvedic mind-body type, they're more than likely to have a Vata imbalance. Also, our social culture at large has a Vata imbalance because of the constant travel, the constant inundation of information, social media, notifications, constantly moving around. These are all Vata type qualities. What else do we see a lot of in our society? We see a lot of anxiety. People are constantly living in fear. A lot of the clients I see suffer from joint pain, stiffness in their body, bloating, gas, poor immunity, poor digestion. A lot of people in serious need of grounding, just feeling constantly scattered, difficulty focusing, just unstable or exhausted in general, difficulty sleeping. These are all signs of Vata imbalance. These are literal symptoms of having too much air and ether in our mind-body complex. In Ayurveda, there is a saying, like attracts like, and opposites bring balance. So what is similar to air and ether? All of this stimulation, all of this movement, constantly go, 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 constant information and notifications. So more of that will increase Vata in the mind and the body. When we have increased Vata, then we see these uncomfortable symptoms, insomnia, difficulty focusing, gas, pain. All pain is related to Vata. All right, what would be the balance of air and ether? So earth and water would be the balance that we bring in, the opposite to balance the air and ether. What quality does oil embody? It's heavy, unctuous, soft, oily, of course, and it's liquid. So it embodies earth and water. When we put oil into our body, whether it's outside on the skin or inside through like cooking oil through the food that we eat, we are bringing the opposite elements into the outside and the insides of our body. And by bringing that grounding in, those earth and water elements, that's where we get the benefits that we see. from doing Abhyanga. Not only can Abhyanga relieve some of the symptoms that I mentioned earlier, the insomnia, anxiety, stiffness, joint pain, etc., it can also increase lymphatic stimulation, which is very, very important for our body's overall health, specifically releasing toxins from the body. It can improve circulation, reduce stress, thereby helping improve sleep and lower anxiety. It can also balance the skin and generally detoxify the body. So all forms of massage are detoxifying. However, Abhyanga is specifically a lymphatic massage, meaning that the way we practice Abhyanga is meant to help circulate the lymph in the system. So our body has blood that travels through our body in our arteries and veins. And then we also have lymphatic tissue and lymphatic fluid. Now, that is also throughout our entire body. However, the lymph system does not have a pump in the same way that the heart pumps the circulatory system. So, if it doesn't have a pump, how does it move around? Well, we have to move it through exercise, yoga, massage, and generally being active, general hygiene, even breathing can help circulate our lymph. And it's very important because if we don't circulate that through, then the lymph's job is to capture toxins in our system and make sure that those toxins don't actually make it into our blood and our organs. So if we're not actively moving and doing things to circulate the lymph, then those toxins that the lymph kind of just grabbed out of our bloodstream, they're just going to be sitting. This is why if you get a massage and you never ever get massages, sometimes the next day or even later on that day, you might feel sick, lethargic, just icky, like you're fighting off a cold or something. This is because those toxins that the lymphatic system filters out for us have been re-released into the bloodstream. That's why they tell you to hydrate a lot after a massage and make sure you're breathing deeply, taking it easy for the rest of the day, because you want to support your system to help export all of those toxins through, of course, urine, sweat, feces, and the breath. We also really need to focus on exhaling and deep, full breaths, because actually our exhale is one of the main ways that our body takes out the toxins and releases what we don't need. So again, breathwork and meditation practice, episode 3, along with this one. All right, so many, many health benefits for Abhyanga. So even if you're healthy and you're not having any of those symptoms that we mentioned, this can still boost your well-being even more. But if you are having those symptoms, I can attest the reasons I swear by this practice. Every single time I do Abhyanga, I end up going to bed early, and I'm a night owl. I end up sleeping so well. It is so restful. Anxiety just completely is removed, and I just feel amazing. It is deep, deep self-care and just appreciating your body through this practice. Abhyanga is a soothing and healing process of literally applying warm oil to your entire body. Your skin is your biggest organ, so we're paying some attention and giving some love to our biggest organ, the skin. And while this practice is often done alone, you can totally get it done at a spa. A lot of massage practitioners that work with yoga studios will also offer it as a service. And it can be a really nice bonding practice to practice alone or to practice with a romantic partner, as long as there's mutual love, trust, and respect. And I, especially for beginners, recommend doing this alone because it can bring a sense of grounding and connection with your own body that you may not be used to, or you may not have had much before. And this connection is also deeply calming for the nervous system. And bringing in, again, those earth and water elements helps us to be deeply soothed and grounded, and can then open us up to connection, right? If we wanted to share this practice with a partner, for example. So you can have it done, you can pay for it to be done like as a professional service, you can share with a partner. I do recommend practicing on your own, at least for the first couple of times. The Sanskrit word for oil is snehana or sneha, which also translates as love or affection. So, oil in Sanskrit is love or affection. And oil in general in Ayurveda is highly, highly revered. We'll get into that into the next episode. When we massage our body with warm oil, we're literally coating it in a layer of our own love, our self-love, through the healing power of our own loving touch and the healing benefits of the specific oils that we use. So this is, again, why it's a very deeply healing self-care practice. And this massage, of course, can soothe everything from sore muscles to anxiety, improve sleep, and if you are someone that experiences body dysmorphia or a difficulty accepting parts of your body, this can help with that as well. And you may want to ease into that if those types of things are a trigger for you. Regular practice of Abhyanga, like I said, most important to be regular, whether that's once a week, once a month, a couple times a week, every day. This regular practice will bring a remarkable sense of peace and calm into your life, but don't take my word for it. Seriously, you guys, try it out yourself. I'm about to explain how, and then see how you feel. The first time I tried this, I was like floored with just how calm I felt. Also, be sure to set aside enough time to practice Abhyanga so that you can do it in a nice, slow, kind of calm, consistent way. And you also want to be able to leave the oil on your skin for at least like 10 to 20 minutes, 5 to 10 at a complete minimum if you're like short on time. 15 to 20 is about ideal. And even if you only have a couple of minutes to just put a little bit of oil on your skin, you'll still get a big benefit. Again, doing it at all is better than not doing it at all. Okay, what type of oil is best to use? So this is the one that I would recommend from Banyan Botanicals, Daily Massage Oil. And I'll just show you the ingredients. And if you're just listening to the podcast version, no worries. It's just banyanbotanicals.com. Ingredients: sesame seed oil, sunflower seed oil, refined coconut oil, and then there are some herbals in here as well. So this is the massage oil that I would recommend. It is a little bit on the pricey side. So I also would definitely recommend a almond oil or sunflower oil just from Whole Foods. You definitely want to make sure it's a good quality oil though. And check out episode 5 if you're not sure what constitutes good quality oil. I'll be talking about it more in that episode. And I am working on getting some affiliate links for you guys so that I can actually recommend specific Ayurveda products for you from a couple different websites. I don't have those ready as of this recording. However, check out the show notes. Depending on what time or what date you're listening to this, I might have some links for you guys for specific products in the show notes. If you wouldn't eat the oil, then don't put it on your skin because your skin is going to be literally absorbing the oil. Okay, so use organic, chemical-free, unrefined, cold-pressed, etc. These are the kind of labels that you want to look for on your oil and something that you might use for cooking, right? So not mineral oil. That's usually derived from petroleum. Ew. All right, without further ado, how to practice Abhyanga, self-oil massage. First, after you've selected your oil, you're going to warm it up. It's important to have it be warm because that helps your skin absorb it more easily. A couple different ways you can do this. You can get a little stainless steel bowl and put that into a thing of water that you've boiled, like on the stove, and kind of do like a double boiler kind of thing. If you actually have a double boiler, obviously that works well too. I have a little tiny mini crock pot that I specifically use for Abhyanga because it works so well. I just clean it out and then I plug it in so it starts to heat up, put the oil blend that I'm going to use into it, and then take a shower. And then when I'm out of the shower, my oil is warm, so I can just put it on then and do my practice then. So you're going to warm the oil. You want to make sure you have a nice, clean, calm, quiet space. And ideally, you would set aside 20 to 30 minutes, possibly even longer if you can. 30 minutes is just about right. So, but if you only have 10 minutes, that's okay too. Again, doing it at all. Doing it at all. So make sure your space is nice and clean, ready to go, no pets around, children taken care of, etc., etc. I also recommend having a designated oil towel that you can sit on or stand on because oil does stain. So you'll also probably want a designated oil robe or a set of oil clothes because whatever you wear over your oil and use with your oil, including your towel, is going to get kind of stained. So set aside some things. You probably want your space to be warm as well. You also don't have to wear a robe or clothes or anything over the oil. You can, of course, just be nude and just lay or sit on your towels. Make sure you take off all your jewelry or anything that you wouldn't want to get oily. Put up your hair, of course. Apply the oil then. And you do want to do this on clean skin. So either showering beforehand or just making sure you're doing it at a day and time when you're not like sweaty and caked in dirt, right? Because then you're going to have oil like mixing in with that. And that actually could block the channels that we're trying to cleanse. All right, how to apply the oil is a little bit specific. Main reason I wanted to make this podcast that you guys can follow along with my voice rather than trying to read while you're doing the oil. But if you prefer to read, this is all on my website. So how to apply the oil. First, go to your pelvic area and put the oil on your low belly and your pubic bone. And you just want to kind of go up and down. None of these movements are going to be super hard or pointy or like intense. We just want soft, regular, gentle movements on the surface of the skin. So then you're going to go around to the sides of your hips, up and down motion, and then all the way back around to your caboose. You can use some circular motion on your hips and all of your joints. Okay, so once you get the pelvic area nice and oiled with these gentle up and down consistent movements, then you're going to go down your first leg with long strokes. We want long strokes on the muscles, circular movements on the joints. So circular on your knees, long on your muscles. And then go ahead and oil ankle, circular, feet, and oil in between the toes. You can also put oil on your feet and then put your socks on over the oil. That can help keep them warm, and it helps your foot absorb the oil rather than just standing on the towel and having the towel absorb your oil. So I recommend oil socks. They will put holes in your socks though. The oil will put holes in your socks over time. Just full disclosure from someone who knows. And then you'll go do your other leg, your other foot and ankle, and then you'll move back up to the belly and use circular strokes on your belly. So if you're looking down at your belly, you're going to use clockwise strokes. So that would be, if you're looking down at your belly, like starting under your belly button, going to the right, up, to the left, and down. Right, up, left, and down. So clockwise. And massaging the belly clockwise helps with digestion. It follows the flow of the large intestine, so it can stimulate digestion and also elimination. So just know that if some things are moving around, that's good when you're doing that part. That can help also if you're feeling really constipated. This practice in general helps with constipation. Then you'll work around the sides and the front of your chest and your torso. If you have breast tissue, you'll spend a good amount of time massaging the breasts. So our breasts are mostly lymphatic tissue and blood and fat. So very, very important to stimulate that and circulate that. This is a great preventative for breast health conditions, especially breast cancer. So if you're not sure how to do a breast massage, basic overview, circles, both directions, and then pressing up, like lifting the breast tissue, pressing up can feel really good. And then also using your knuckles and kind of like pressing in and pressing all around. That's like a good basic way. You're also going to want to get into the underarms and like massage that whole region from the underarms to kind of like the inside of the shoulder to the breast and underneath your arm too. Because those are some really big lymphatic system highways, like sites of really important lymph nodes in your body that are also connected with the breasts. So massaging that whole area, even if you don't have breast tissue, it's still nice to massage. I mean, everybody has breast tissue, right? Including men. It's still nice to massage that area, and very healthful for us because everybody has those big lymph nodes in their armpits, not just people with breasts. And then you'll go to your back. This is where it can be definitely nice to have a helper or somebody doing it for you with you. But if you're on your own, apply the oil to your back as best as you can. You're going to use up and down movements again. And then you'll go to the arms, working down each arm and hand, again using long, smooth, regular back and forth movements on the muscles and circular movements on your joints. So circles on the elbows. And then down into the hands, oil the hands, long movements onto the fingers, long regular movements. And then finally, can use any remaining oil on your neck area and long, smooth strokes on the neck as well. And moving up to the face and even the head. If you're okay with having oil in your hair, it feels really, really great to give yourself a whole scalp massage with your oil. And if you prefer not to have oil in your hair, I would only say to try the oil in the hair on a day where you're like off from work or you have time to have a couple showers and wash your hair, because the oil really, really sticks to your hair. So if you're doing oil in the hair, it is really healthful for your hair for sure. You can leave it on for a while. If you wanted to like completely soak your hair in the oil, you could leave it on for an hour or so. But if you have a busy day, you're trying to get to work, I would recommend no oil in the hair. So maybe a little bit on your face and the scalp. Yeah. And then that's when you'll sit with the oil. So ideally 15 to 20 minutes for sitting with the oil. But if you don't have enough time, you just need a few minutes, then a few minutes is better than no minutes. And while you're doing this process, notice the parts of your body that you might be inclined to avoid. That is giving you lots of important information about where you're at mentally and emotionally, and where you're having difficulty connecting with your body. And then it's your choice if you want to try to form more of a connection with those parts of your body. Abhyanga is something that can really help with that. But again, if it's triggering, go slow. You can just start with just one part of your body and eventually move to another part, like after time and time of doing this. Okay, so if you don't do your thighs today, maybe next time you're just doing the outside of your thigh. And then the next time after that, you're doing the outside and the top of your thigh. And then after that, you're doing the whole thigh. All right, you can work up to it. So you'll sit and you'll do your practice. If you're following along with this podcast, you'll pause here and you go to episode 3. And about 5 minutes in, when we start that practice, that is a 30-minute practice. So on a day when you have more time, or you can just do like part of that practice or do your own practice. Regardless, spending any amount of time in your oil towel, your oil clothes, your robe, meditate, read, relax for at least 5 if you can, but up to 20 minutes. And then after that, traditionally you would shower to remove any excess oil. Though for some of us, the oil is going to absorb by the time we're done meditating, and that's just a sign that your body just really needed it. And maybe you were a bit dehydrated and now you're getting less dehydrated because that oil just soaks into the skin. So this is why, again, we wouldn't use any oil that you wouldn't eat because our skin is eating the oil. So we need it to be good quality oil. So taking the shower afterward opens up your pores and allows the oil to actually penetrate even deeper. Might be a little bit counterintuitive, but the shower afterward is really helpful. So depending on how you feel, you could shower before and after, you could just shower after. Sometimes I just do the oil and don't shower after, which there's like debate among that in the Ayurveda community, because if you don't shower after and there is still oil on your skin, it can clog the channels that we're trying to clean. However, for me, in my experience, the oil absorbs almost completely, so there's not really a need to actually shower it off for me personally, or I might just use a towel and kind of tap off any of the excess oil. Okay. Also importantly, regarding the shower part, after you do the oil, you do not need to use any soap. Especially if you shower first and then do the oil and then shower again, you do not need to use any soap because ideally you'll have been doing this on clean skin anyway, but also the oil pretty much acts as our soap in this case because you're putting the oil literally everywhere. And I didn't actually mention it, but you'll be oiling your genitals as well. All the holes. Get it in all the holes. And so that oil is actually acting as like a soap. So you don't need to use the soap during that part. And in general, excessive use of soap can really harm the skin's microbiome, where the oil actually helps your skin build its own healthy microbiome and rebuild, which is one reason why this practice can help improve our immunity and actually even improve like allergies, because we're literally putting this coating, this layer of protection on our skin. So it increases immunity and overall vitality. Okay. So that is that article on my website. And the last thing that I wanted to plug for you guys today is the online course that I mentioned earlier. So I have a different screen share I will put up. So if you go to yourlove.one, under the products section, I have a tab. The last one is called online courses. If you click that, it'll take you to this website page. And these are all online courses that I have pre-recorded and have available for you guys to purchase. So this is where you can get the Fundamentals of Ayurveda lecture that I mentioned. And here's the description of it. If you scroll down, it's a 2-hour recorded lecture for $33. So if you're interested in that, that's where you can find that. It's a really, really great starting off point for most people if you're curious about Ayurveda, but you're not sure where to start. I have a couple other online courses too. I have an Intro to Tantra and Subtle Body Anatomy lecture that's 2 hours long. And I have my Menstrual Mysticism and Moon Cycle Mysteries lecture about the female hormonal cycle. That is also 2 hours. And so those are all available for $33 each. If you would like to order any of them, the order form is on the same page. You simply fill it out and then you can send me your payment, and the form explains how. And then as soon as I receive your form and your payment, I will email you the information that you need in order to sign in and access your online course. And I also already mentioned about the Ayurveda products that I recommend. Look for those links below or in the show notes. If you are curious about Ayurveda and maybe have a little bit more of an understanding, or you just know that you really want to commit to the practice and process of Ayurveda and work with me one-on-one, I do take one-on-one clients for Ayurveda. You can find that information on my website under the services tab. So that's everything that we have for this episode, you guys. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and attention. Be sure to check out all the other episodes if you have not already, so that you can get maximum benefit from all this free information that I'm making rain on y'all, because I love you and want you to be healthy. I'll talk to you soon, and blessed be. With all my love, Paisley Parvati Devi.